Hi there, meteorologist Peyton Malone. This is your daily tropical outlook for June 10th. It is Tuesday and well, things are still nice and quiet across the Atlantic basin. We're really not tracking a whole lot of anything anywhere near close to home here in the Gulf or the Caribbean. We have analyzed 3 separate tropical waves moving across the Atlantic here, completely normal for this time of year. They are still fairly inactive and they are also tangled up in a lot of Saharan dust right now, so we're not expecting any of these to develop. But a reminder that tropical waves are normal. On average, we have anywhere from 60 to maybe even 100 form every single year. Many of them don't ever become anything, but sometimes they do, especially later in the season. Now, a reminder, tropical waves do still bring some unsettled weather to the Caribbean islands. So right now, we do have some active weather sitting just north of Venezuela here, closer to Trinidad and Tobago here. That's going to be moving across those islands, skirting the northern parts of South America over the next few days. So that's the extent of an impact from a tropical wave. Not going to develop, though. The Pacific, on the other hand, has been very busy. Yesterday, Barbara formed into a hurricane, the first hurricane in the northern hemisphere of the season here. Now remember, the Eastern Pacific uses a completely different list of names than the Atlantic, so that's why we're already to Barbara, and you've got Cosme here, and a third system is trying to form, or rather a fourth named storm may be forming here fairly soon as this area begins to develop later this week. So Barbara, it only has another about day left in it before it runs into the cool water and dissipates. This storm is going to be lifting north, and it will also run into cool waters and dissipate here in the next 24 hours or so. So those are going to be short-lived systems, just causing some swells off the coast of Mexico. Puerto Vallarta, Cabo, some common places for vacation, may have some rough waters here the next few days as things do stay active. So there goes those 2 features. They dissipate, but notice we start to see a new area of spin form off the western coast of Mexico by this weekend. So we could very well have our D storm out here in the Pacific by Friday or Saturday. That will push east, and notice we may not end there. We may have more unsettled weather trying to roll off of Central America and form. Now, this type of setup this time of year is more conducive for storms to push into the Pacific and form. Now, sometimes this type of setup can lead to formation in the Caribbean and Gulf, but right now the thing that's really helping us out is a ridge of high pressure to the north. So for now, we're going to see a lot of the unsettled weather stay along this trough down here near the equator and north of the equator. But you look into the Gulf here and notice it may not be raining much at all over the next 7 days. And so that means we're not expecting any hurricanes to come into the Gulf. Rewind 2 weeks ago, the GFS kept showing a hurricane in the Gulf this exact moment. Well, guess what's not there? A hurricane. So it's just a reminder that these models, especially the GFS, it has this persistent bias, and that doesn't necessarily mean just because it's showing the same thing that it's going to happen. We know these biases exist, and so that's why we clocked it and we're like, well, we maybe don't need to believe this, and very well has it that nothing is there. So again, the reason things are staying more in Central America and the Pacific is this ridge of high pressure is staying dominant over the Gulf region here, and so that keeps everything pushed and squished down here towards Central America, and in turn has a better chance of developing out here west and south of Mexico. And that's going to be the case through this week, through this weekend, and even into next week, it looks like as well. Now, eventually this pattern may break down, but for now it is not, and so we're going to stay quiet. Also, the Saharan dust continues to move out across the Atlantic. This is completely normal. Typically, we have our biggest Saharan outbreaks, dust outbreaks in June, sometimes lingering into July. And then once we get into your August and September, the dust becomes less prominent oftentimes, and that's naturally when hurricane season begins to flourish and you start to get your bigger storms forming out here in the open water. So for now, just a little dust. If you are traveling anywhere out to the islands here, you will notice some hazy skies through the rest of this week and into this weekend. That is thanks to that Saharan dust that's traveling across, so that's creating those hazy skies. Again, nothing on the horizon anytime soon, but eventually we will get our first A storm, and here's that list if you have missed it, starting out with Andrea, Barry, Chantal, Dexter, Aaron, and so on and so on. Last name storm on the list this year is Wendy. Hopefully we do not meet any of these. That's going to do it for your daily tropical update right here on WWL Plus. It is Tuesday, June 10th. We will have another one. We'll see you tomorrow.